Today we're going to learn about a woman who defended her garden with a machete, which is exactly the amount of crazy I can get behind. Eloise Butler was born in Maine in 1851, and she is the founder and curator of the Eloise Butler Wildflower and Bird Sanctuary in Minneapolis. Eloise Butler was born in 1851 in Maine. She got her teaching license, then moved to Indiana, only stayed there for about a year before she was like, no. Then she moved to Minnesota and started teaching botany. But she was really frustrated teaching botany because she's like, I'm trying to teach people about plants, but I'm in the middle of the city of Minneapolis, which is rapidly expanding, and plants are fewer and farther between. So she and her colleagues petitioned the park board to set aside an area specifically for native plants and wildflowers. That area today is now the Eloise Butler Wildflower Garden and Bird Sanctuary, which is a mouthful. The bird sanctuary was apparently because Eloise was annoyed that people couldn't walk without shooting a bird. She's like, what if we just said, oh, there's a pretty bird, and then we let it live. They set aside this area in 1907, and between 1907 and 1911, Eloise Butler was pretty much the sole person taking care of this garden unpaid. In 1912, various groups came forward to the city asking if Eloise could please be compensated for all of the intense work that she's doing, and they gave her a salary of $60 per month, which today equates to about $2,000 a month. Now, it's not surprising that in order to tend a multi-acre garden by herself, Eloise was a little bit obsessive. She wrote to the paper multiple times about the dangers of spooners, or couples who would walk through the park, because they won't watch where they're going and they'll step on bloodroot. She petitioned for years to get a fence built so that people wouldn't trample the plants, and when they wouldn't pay for it, she used $600 of her own money, 10 months of her own salary, to build the fence. One journalist from the Star Tribune said that Eloise knew he had stepped off the path because of the plants he described in his article. She knew where every plant was in that garden. Eloise worked in that garden until her death, and people talked about in her later years she could be seen walking around in overalls, black leather boots, and a broken off machete, threatening people if they walked off the path. The wildflower garden still exists and is open to the public, but out of respect for Eloise, please stay on the path.